So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Riverside County Office of Education's Preliminary Administrative Services Credential Program. This program is designed to equip you with the skills and knowledge to become impactful leaders focused on equity and culturally responsive practices, and we're excited to support you along your way and your journey and help you focus and grow as a champion of equity and inclusivity. I invite you to review our agenda for this morning. We have a lot of ground to cover, but I want to assure you we're here to assist you and answer all your questions. So you can do that a few ways. You can either type your questions into the chat, and Ellen and Shireen will be monitoring that chat, and they'll try to assist you with those questions. If you don't get your question answered, please stick around. We're going to stay after the presentation and answer any of your questions. And again, the link to the deck is in the chat. So again, if you have any questions. So before we begin in earnest, we want to make sure that we confirm your attendance today. And the way we do that is through the name that's on your Zoom screen. So if you don't have your first and last full name, full first and last name in your Zoom box currently, just go ahead and hover over the top right corner of your Zoom box. You'll see three little dots. If you click on those dots, it'll allow you to rename yourself, type your full first and last name in there, and we will know you are here. And also, to maximize our communication and collaboration today, we ask that all participants turn their cameras on for the duration of our time together. Anybody here, raise your hand in your Zoom box, have to teach during COVID. When everybody was not in schools. And what was one of the most challenging things that we faced during that time was getting our students to leave their cameras on and be engaged. So we want to make sure that we do that here together today as we go through our journey of orientation. The PASC program is brought to you by Riverside County Office of Education School of Education, which is the largest and most comprehensive county office of education and that provides credentialing programs in the state of California. And before you right now is our team. So our executive director, Dr. Ursula Estrada Reveles, is the executive director of the School of Education. You've met me. And with us today is Dr. Shireen Kasi, our program manager, and our secretary, Astor, who's not with us, but I couldn't get it to mute either. Okay, well, we'll carry on. So these professionals run the gamut of experience from site principalship all the way through the superintendency. So before you are the PASC leadership team members, and Ellen Lidley is with us this morning. She serves as our PASC program lead and Cal APA consultant. And then we have Christina Lyman, who serves as a cohort advisor for cohort 15A, and Dr. Rebecca Cook will be the cohort advisor for cohorts 15B and C. Dr. Diana Walsh-Royce is our Cal APA team member, as well as Cindy Woods. So these are just some faces you will become familiar with along our journey. And the Cal APA team is here to support your success in passing the Cal APA assessments. We offer workshops for each cycle, guiding you through the tasks and expectations, along with support sessions for every step. If you need personalized help, we have that available as well. And if you miss a session, makeup work will be provided to keep you all on track. If you're struggling in Cal APA, you may be asked to attend a support session, but these are just some ways we assist you and support you in those Cal APA assessments. And our goal is to ensure that each and every one of you have the support that you need to succeed in this program. And we start by following up on your assignments to make sure you stay on track. This follows part of our commitment to helping you meet deadlines and complete your work successfully. We also implement a system of support agreements, and these agreements outline the specific ways that we're going to assist you to overcome any challenges that you're going to face. And we like to keep the lines of communication open. So this is one way we do that. We're here to help you succeed, and these strategies are part of our comprehensive support system designed to help you with your success in mind. And so Christina does serve as the cohort 15 advisor, and those are the things she will implement to and facilitate to ensure your success. And again, this is Dr. Cook. we'll be doing the same for cohort 15B and C. So we have some norms we want to review real quick. So over the next 16 months, we'll be working closely as a team to make the most of our time and ensure a productive and supportive learning environment. I want to highlight just a few of these expectations. So first, it is critical to show up and be present and stay engaged throughout the program. Your active participation is key to your success as well as the success of your group. Cameras need to stay on during our sessions, except during designated breaks or when you're working independently. This helps us maintain a sense of connection and accountability to our work. Also, we ask that you mute yourself unless you're speaking. This helps maximize background or minimize background noise and allows everyone to focus on the speaker. And finally, remember to be respectful of others' opinions and experiences. We all come from diverse backgrounds as a part of our life experience, and we just want to make sure that we're valuing everybody's experience. By following these guidelines, we can create a positive and effective learning environment for everybody. And as a part of your commitment to the program, it is essential that candidates attend all the Saturday classes regularly, as well as the mandatory Cali PA workshops during weekends and weeknights. Your presence is critical, as these sessions are designed to provide you with the knowledge and skill necessary for success in the program. And again, I've mentioned the cameras, so I won't mention that again. The entire class schedule for 16-month program has already been planned. We expect all candidates would be in attendance and ready to learn for each session. And we strongly encourage you to calendar these days now and plan to devote about 7 to 8 hours each session solely for work in the class. And please note that attendance is crucial. You cannot have more than one absence without jeopardizing your status in the program. If you miss a second session, it will be necessary to retake the course in a different cohort, which could really, significantly delay your progress. So in addition to attendance, candidates are expected to meet assignment and fieldwork due dates. If you encounter any issues, please communicate to your instructor. We're here to help. We'll do everything we can to support you. We know it's difficult balancing the work life and the school schedule. So, but we're here to support you. So after that first set of expectations, what I want to do now is just take a minute and have each of you think about this question. How do these expectations align with your perspective of being a part of a professional learning community, and why? So you can use the chat feature, and please go ahead and post in here responses to this question. How do these expectations align to professional learning community? Give you a minute to contemplate that and post some responses. Accountability, yes. Student engagement, being present and accountable maximizes the work and the goal of a PLC team. Tiffany, the norms, communication. They model professional behaviors, which is critical for leadership. These expectations keep all members engaged, a sense of trust, accountability. Excellent responses. Thank you guys so much for engaging and being active. Expectations, accountability, engagement. Thank you, Lawrence. All right, so I think you guys get it. Okay, so one of the things we're big on in our program is called communities of practice. Communities of practice is essentially a group of people who share a common concern, a set of problems, or interest in a particular topic. These individuals come together with the purpose of fulfilling both individual and group goals. It's about the collective growth of that group, and everybody contributes and benefits from that shared experience. So you guys will have the opportunity to work in communities of practice. In fact, we've already assigned your community of practice, and we try to do that in job alike or subject alike grade level. We try to put you guys together in a way that you'll have a lot in common as you work in your COP. So we do that to the best of our ability. but we have a really diverse group. You guys will see in a little bit like who's in the room, and that'll be interesting for us to know who our colleagues are going through this process. So in the PASC program, you will be engaging with your colleagues in COPs. This will happen independently of class time and may be recommended as an asynchronous activity, possibly by your instructor. But we do encourage candidates to use the concept of COPs. You don't have to do them within the program. You guys can do text threads. You guys can meet on Zooms. Lots of different ways. You guys can talk about Cal APA. You could talk about assignments, but it's good to stay connected to a community of learners. So we certainly advocate for that. And what you'll see here now is, and if you're looking on your slide deck, you should be able to go to slide 15. And these are the community of practice groups for cohort A. So try to make a note of what group you are in. And we're going to open up some breakout rooms in a few minutes. And so you'll see right there, if you're in COP1, you're going to enter room 1. And so on and so forth. So this is cohort 15A. This is cohort 15B. And Brian says, I'm no longer at TOSA. I've been moved into a position of expanding learning administrator. Well, congratulations, Brian. That's fantastic. And we'll keep that in mind, but your community practice should serve you well. And this is cohort 15C.
Ronnie, if I could just add something, we
Sure.
haven't, we kind of changed up the COPs. They're not really job-alike. And the rationale for that was sometimes people have positions that are very far removed from classrooms.
Yeah.
And when they are in the Cal APA, which all of that field work, which we're going to talk a lot about, happens at a site and working within a school site. So we found in working with candidates that just a more diverse opportunity, especially, will also give you perspectives from the other types of roles and experiences that happen in schools. So they are not really job alike. They really are diverse groups.
Oh, thank you, Ellen. And that will serve you well. The Cal APAs, they don't make much concession for leadership roles that are outside the school site. So they're really focused on that site level work that you're going to be doing with students and staff. So that will be a good benefit to being a diverse group. Next, we are going to engage in this activity. We're going to do this in our COPs in breakouts, but we're going to engage in what's in a name. The most important word in any language is one's own name. Your name carries a potent amount of emotion. When you make an effort to learn, remember, and use other people's names appropriately, you not only convey to that person that he or she is important to you, you instill self-worth within them. In turn, they are likely to view you as a thoughtful and caring person. So we've got lots of different names out there. There's lots of histories and backgrounds to names. And so what we're going to do is, as you enter this breakout room, you're going to look for these questions. You're going to share, take 2 minutes each, introduce yourselves, and share the story of your name. So what's your first name? Do you remember who chose it? Maybe you don't know. Was it your mom? Was it your dad? Was it your grandmother, your grandfather? Maybe some collection of folks? Is there a familiar history behind the name? Does your name have meaning? And then any unique, funny, or interesting stories about your name. The other important piece is while you're in that room, because these are going to be your community of practice partners, is to share your contact information with each other. So we are going to open up these rooms, and if you can reference, it's in slide 19 of your slide deck, if you want to reference these questions while you're in your group. And Shireen, are we ready? Okay, so we're going to give you 15 minutes in this breakout to meet your COP colleagues, and we'll return. So we did send out a Google form, and thank you, everybody who completed that. It was just about everybody, but we want you to know who you're on this journey with. So we collected some data that we want to share with you. And so we asked what your current role is. And so you can see here, we have a lot of teachers on assignment. We have some classroom teachers, but we have a diversity of different roles. We have specialists, we have principal already. We do have folks that come into our PASC program that are already in administrative positions. That can happen. Guidance counselors, directors, coordinators, coaches, classroom teachers of different grade levels. We could see we got a big number of classroom teachers in the high school level. So we're excited about that. And so yeah, we do have probably just about half of you are in the classroom, but we have several folks that are not. So that's good to know. And then years in your current position. So we have a range, a good range. We've got some emerging leaders here in the room that are in their first, for 1 to 4 years of teaching. To be in this program, at least everybody had to have at least 3.5 years of teaching. Then we have some folks that, a good number of folks that have been in their current position 5 to 9 years. We have some veterans that have 15 plus. So, and we have a good number in that 10 to 15 range. And where are you currently working? So we also have some good diversity of secondary, elementary, district level, and then we have some representation from adult ed, which is cool because we don't see that all the time. And then what is your comfort level in small group collaboration? And the data here is great. Very comfortable to comfortable, somewhat comfortable, I think, living through a pandemic and having to educate through that lens. We spent a lot of time on Zooms and collaborating in small groups. So most of us are comfortable in that context. And then what is your comfort level in accessing and analyzing multiple sets of data? So some of you have a lot of the experience in this. Some, maybe haven't experienced that is often, but I'm here to tell you that as a part of this program, you will be a data expert by the time you're done with PASC. And we have a specific focus on how we have you mine data and analyze data that helps you not only through your PASC program, but assists with Cal APA and ultimately helps you develop the skill and knowledge you need to use data at school sites or in your leadership context. And then what is your experience in leading and or facilitating teams in your current role? So this is encouraging. I've been a member of a highly effective team. We have quite a few folks that have done that. Have experience in leading and or facilitating a team, which is excellent. And then we have some folks that haven't done that work before, which is great. Everybody will be increasing their skill and knowledge in this area as a result of your journey in the program. So in the chat, if you could share with us what type of data you use in your current role. If you're a teacher, is it classroom data? If you're a director at the district level, what kind of data do you use in the course of your role? So if you guys can just go ahead and share. So Sheila says assessment data.
Ronnie, could I add, maybe tell us why too, and why you think it's important?
Yeah, so why data? Please feel free to talk about why the use of data is important. Student achievement data, make informed decisions. Data is important because should inform our decisions. Thank you guys. You are super fast in the chat. Looking at CASP data, dashboard data, surveys for PDs, right? So it's not just always quantitative data. It's also important to look at qualitative data. All right. Attendance, tracking attendance, SEL data, which is kind of a new era for us, something that education traditionally never took into consideration. So that's great to see social emotional learning emerge, and that we are keeping data on that. All right, so we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about the program vision and focus on equity. Now, if you're not interested in equity, this is not a good program for you, because our program is grounded in equitable practices and inclusive practices and culturally responsive leadership practices. So I'm going to ask one of you candidates to be brave and unmute. And if you could read that first blue circle, what we do.
We empower and equip ethical, equity-minded administrators to understand and embrace the challenges of 21st century educational and equity-driven leadership.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to ask a different candidate to unmute themselves and read why we do it.
Our goal is to develop leaders who can transform educational institutions by dismantling inequitable practices and build systems to ensure educational equity for all.
Thank you, Sheila. And one more candidate to read the salmon or pink circle, how we do it.
How we do it, we build the capacity of school leaders by providing high-quality, two-tiered administrative services credential programs for educators aligned to the California Administrator Performance Expectations, California Professional Standards for Education Leaders, and Model Code of Ethics for Educators standards with a strong focus on equity.
Thank you all very much for your bravery, but that is our what we do, why we do it, and how we do it. And I'm going to ask one last candidate to unmute and read this quote by Ron Edmonds.
We can, whenever and wherever we choose, successfully teach all children whose schooling is of interest to us. We already know more than we need to do. We already know more than we need to do that. Whether or not we do it must finally depend on how we feel about the fact that we haven't so far.
Thank you, Valine. And so our PASC program is deeply committed to equity, ensuring that every aspect of our training and support is designed to empower future leaders who are dedicated to creating inclusive, just, and equitable environments for all students. We believe that by focusing on equity, we can prepare administrators who are not only effective in their roles, but also passionate advocates for students, especially those in marginalized communities. So why the sense of urgency around equity in public education? I'm sure many of you in your districts and schools are focused on that topic in some form or fashion, and I find it most helpful to hear from students when we're asking about the urgency question. So I'm going to play a short clip, and this is from a student panel that our COE facilitated recently on the voices of Asian Pacific Islanders, AAPI, sorry. Students talking about their equity, why. So let's see what we can glean from, it's particularly one student that's commenting here, but it's pretty powerful what he has to share.
We need our opportunities to shine and to speak out. We need that validation that we also struggle. And I feel that is important for educators in the room to understand, is that we may be the highest scoring students, and we may also be the worst scoring students. But what should define us is not the color of our skin, our ethnicity. If anything, it should not even be a score. Really, it should be giving us the opportunity to take control of our own narrative for once, and to give us an opportunity to talk about where we come from, to give us an opportunity to be proud of where we come from. Why, how, when, who, where. These questions all matter, and they only matter when teachers and administrators give us that opportunity, not when we ask for it, when it's convenient. No, it should already be offered. Inclusion is the greatest attribute of education right now that I believe if it included that perspective, I feel that a lot more Asian Americans would be able to contribute their stories as well. I would argue that Esther, Harshi, Kenneth, we're the lucky ones. We were given an opportunity and an invitation to speak today. But what about the millions of others that didn't get to come here? Where's their event? Where's their conference? What about our elderly? What about our parents? What about you? These questions are the hard questions that we should be asking ourselves. And unfortunately, I don't expect those answers today. I don't expect them tomorrow. And certainly I don't expect them probably within my lifetime. But I'm hoping for the next generation, this is a start. And I hope it doesn't end today.
Okay, very powerful student voice there, right? And this panel of students was speaking to a group of administrators and teachers. So it's always best, I feel. We listen to adults talk all the time. When our students have opportunities to share these things to adults, let us learn from them. So that really does, to me, answer the question of why the sense of urgency. So one of the most powerful tools we have for advancing equity in our schools is the use of intentional questions. By asking the right questions, we can sharpen our equity lens. We can also kind of break down these areas real quick. So student outcomes and experiences. When we consider student outcomes and experiences, we need to ask questions that help us uncover disparities, ensure that all students are receiving the support they need. For example, we might ask, are all student groups performing at similar levels? If not, what barriers are they facing? How can we address these barriers to create more equitable opportunities? And then teaching practice and stances. In terms of teaching practices, intentional questions can help us reflect on how teaching methods and attitudes impact equity. So a question like, are our teaching practices culturally responsive? Do our instructional strategies consider diverse needs of all students? And then, of course, our staff discourse and culture. When we look at staff discourse and culture, it's critical to ask questions that challenge the status quo and promote a culture of inclusion and respect. So questions such as, how does our staff communicate about equity? Are there underlying biases that need to be addressed? Parents and families, are we engaging them in authentic ways? Are we providing equitable access to school resources and information for all families? How are we including diverse family voices in decision-making processes at our schools? So these are just a few of applying the equity lens questions that we want to ask ourselves as we're leading. And then our goal is to ensure that all participants in the educational system achieve equally high outcomes by setting high expectations, providing that necessary support. We do want to interrupt inequitable practices. We want to foster fairness, and we want to make sure that we're creating an inclusive, multicultural environment that involves embracing diversity and ensures that every voice is valued and respected. And then we also want to recognize and nurture the unique gifts, talents, and interests of all of our students. So that's why diversity is so important to our program. And I do want to just reflect a little bit on the thought of unconscious bias. And I have a short clip I want to share with you. It's some research out of Yale. It's a clip by NPR, and that we're not endorsing any, it's not an NPR thing, but this gentleman is summarizing that study, and he does a good job. I've actually read the study. So we're going to view this real quick.
New study at the Yale Child Study Center. I had to read a few times just to believe what it was telling me. The researchers recruited about 135 preschool teachers. They had them watch video footage of 4 kids play: a black boy, a black girl, a white boy, and a white girl. And they told the teachers, their subjects, watch the video. There may be some challenging behaviors. As soon as you see something that could become challenging, hit the enter key on your keypad. Well, here's the
trick. There was no challenging behavior. The researchers were using eye scan technology to see which child the teachers were looking at the most. And what they found is that the teachers, both white and black alike, spent the most time watching the black boy, waiting for bad behavior that never came. There's one more really interesting headline in this study, which comes later. The teachers were also given a one-paragraph description to read of a hypothetical child with a stereotypical name who behaves pretty badly in class, pushes, scratches, throws toys. And some of the teachers were also given some biographical information that helped make sense of that behavior. They were told that the child lives with his mother, father has been in and out for years, they're relatively poor, the mother is depressed, works 3 jobs. The researchers wanted to know if knowing this information made the teachers more empathetic to the kid. Well, here's the shock. It did, but only if the teacher and the child were of the same race. If the teacher and the child, a white teacher and a black child, or even a black teacher and a white child, knowing that biographical information, those teachers were less empathetic towards those students. And here's why this matters. Imagine if this is true, if there's this empathy deficit in preschool, well, imagine where else that's true.
Okay, so just wanted to show you that clip to help us all understand that whether we recognize it or not, everybody has unconscious bias. So what we do in our program is try to shine the light on those areas of our own thinking to make sure that we're examining ourselves in terms of making sure that we're prepared to lead through equity with an unbiased frame. And so what we're going to do now is I want you to take 2 minutes to think about and prepare for breakout groups. So implicit bias refers to unconscious attitudes, reactions, stereotypes, and categories that affect behavior and understanding. So what are some examples of unconscious or implicit bias that you have witnessed in schools, that you've observed, that you've examined within yourself? And we're going to take 10 minutes in breakout rooms to meet with our COPs again and have this discussion about implicit or unconscious bias. Okay, we still have some folks out. Be joining us in just under a minute. But I was, moving between rooms, was hearing some very powerful conversations about unconscious bias, things we've observed either in our own practice or with colleagues. Heard some very encouraging work that is being done out there with many of you in terms of inclusivity and equitable practices. So that was good. I want to give you an opportunity to share out in the chat. So please go ahead and share out any thoughts or comments or something a colleague said that really resonated with you. Like I said, there were some great examples of some great equity work that's happening already in schools, but then I also heard some colleagues sharing that, they've attended PDs where they can see some of the teachers that are kind of tuned out or wanted to water down content for English learners, and instead of really setting high expectations for their learning and finding ways to support that learning. Anything that bubbles up, go ahead and just put in the chat. I'd even invite you to go ahead and put your raised hand icon and or just unmute your mic if anybody had any comment they wanted to share. I'm seeing in the chat where biases are from adults and not the students. I would agree. That's certainly my experience. Most of the bias comes from adults entrusted to nurture and grow them. Thank you, Dr. Love. Implicit bias can affect the kids who are supposed to be doing well. Saw some examples of that from our Asian American Pacific Islander student.
I had a quick comment. I just talked about some of my time as a RSP teacher and going to different classrooms amongst teachers and noticing a significant referral of our African American students to be tested for special education because they exhibited some type of behavioral problem in class with the lack of any knowledge or tracking of any type of interventions that may have been placed in place to kind of help support the students, but automatically just going straight to this kid needs to be tested because something is off. So I've kind of been kind of doing that research and kind of following like that, that's like a huge issue, I would think. And so our automatically sets kids up for, you know, not putting them in the classroom, getting them out the classroom, different um, learning environments. So I think that's one of the major bias things I see often.
Thank you for sharing, Lawrence. Yeah, this is really what the eye of the leader needs to be, right? To be able to look into these spaces and identify these equity gaps. In a role that I served in a district, this was, maybe a decade ago, but they had a lot of discipline issues and they were disproportional. It was always, African American males that were being disciplined. And one of the ways that they disciplined these young men was to have them go out into, the quad or out on the school campus and clean up the school campus while they should have been in class. So they were not giving these students access to high quality and instruction and support, and they were taking them out of the learning environment to clean the campus. So it's these things that we want to have in mind as we explore equity gaps and things that are happening in our environments and in our contexts in which we lead, so we can shine the light and provide the appropriate support that these students need to be successful. So thank you for sharing. And we will now, I'm going to turn the program over. Oops, I don't know how I got that over there. I'm going to turn the program over to Ellen now, and she's going to lead us through an introduction to Cal APA.
Here. Okay, before I start sharing, how many of you have heard about the Cal APA? Yeah, just raise your hands. Okay, so hopefully this will be a big part of your program, but we want you to know that we have a really strong support system in place to get you not only through it, but to experience the most important work a leader does. You may not see it at your school every day, but we really want to ground you in what that work looks like, which the Cal APA does assess. So here we go. Let me get into slideshow. All right, so the overview of Cal APA is that this became a requirement to obtain a preliminary administrative service credential in California for all candidates who enrolled in a PASC program after May 31st, 2019. And it's designed to be an embedded performance assessment within the field work of an administrator preparation program. It is not an assessment you take separately from your coursework. It is embedded, and your PASC field work contains all cycles and steps of the Cal APA assessment. So just to give you the big picture of what does that look like in our program. Cal APA Cycle 1, which will be your first one, which is about analyzing data to inform school improvement and promote equity. That is embedded into PASC 101, your first courses, and 102. You'll focus on steps 1 and 2 of the Cal APA in 101 and steps 3 and 4 in 102. You can see that Cycle 2, Facilitating Communities of Practice, is embedded into your courses 103 and 104. And then in your final Cycle 3, Supporting Teacher Growth, all steps happen in 106. And just like we've been talking about, the Cal APA really is steeped in equity. And it's designed to provide candidates the opportunity to demonstrate their leadership ability, to investigate current practice at a school site. And it was interesting in the rooms that I went into, hearing how some of that bias can impact current practice. So your culture and your context of whatever site you're working at is really, it's very individualized to your site. You're going to plan improvements based on data and research. You're going to act on that plan, and then you're going to reflect on the learning regarding equitable leadership practice. And so you can see down here in this visual, step 1 is always investigate. Step 2 is plan. Step 3 is act. Step 4 is reflect. But we're going to go deeper and deeper into this as we go along. The Cal APA is really about equity-driven leadership, and that you see schools, have a vision of schools where all students are engaged, inspired, empowered, and their voices are heard. And that when you pursue school change, you do that through systemic change and capacity building. And you understand that schools are really complex places composed of dynamic and interdependent thinking components. So leadership cycle 1, which is where you're going to start, is really about the big picture of your school. This is where you're going to do a deep dive into quantitative and qualitative data to look at what equity gaps exist at your school. And then in leadership cycle 2, you're going to take that data and actually move it into practice with working with a team. And then in leadership cycle 3, you're going to go even smaller into a particular classroom with that data and impact what classroom practice looks like. So we're going to do a breakout of, and I'm sorry, I feel like this is coming too soon. Okay. Ronnie, sorry about that. It looks like those slides are off, so I'll fix it. So here's what the system looks like in our program. And for every cycle, the green means the Cal APA team, which is myself, Diana, and Cindy, who you will meet. We are responsible for the green. The blue is instructor. So in the first phase, the week before your first class, which is calendared on your schedule, you will have a mandatory workshop A, which will give you a strong foundation into what the Cal APA is about for that cycle. And we will take a deep dive into the particular steps of whatever course you're in. And that happens before phase 2, where you go to your first day class and you will get content related to understanding the concepts of the Cal APA. Then you will go to your second class the next month. And in between, you were working on the Cal APA. That's where field work happens. So you will be working on this throughout the course time frame. In the second day, you will be engaging in peer review, which you will be working with a peer and giving them feedback on the work they've done with the particular steps. And then you will, phase 4, you will turn in those specific steps to your instructors, and they will provide feedback using a program rubric. And if you did not score a 3 on all parts of the program rubric, they will either assign you a tier 2 or tier 3 support. Tier 2 is small group. You will have a session with one of us as a small group or a smaller group, and you will bring your feedback and we will work through the areas that you need to strengthen. If an instructor believes that you really are struggling at a level that you need individual support, then you will be asked to reach out to one of us to get that individual support. We have a lot of supports in Google Classroom that we want you to get really familiar with. So you will see a topic for each cycle. So since you're starting, you're going to want to go straight to Cal APA Cycle 1. And you will see that there's a material here that has the Cal APA assessment guide and the templates that you will actually do your work on. And it gives you directions that you need to download those templates as a Word document, because those are what you're going to turn into Cal APA. You will see this Cycle 1 support tool needs to be somewhere starred that you can access it easy. It has all kinds of support resources that we will talk about. You will also see previous candidate submissions. So you will see successful submissions from previous candidates posted there that are support to you. So this is the tool I was referencing. The Cal APA Cycle 1 support tools and resources, and we have one of these for each cycle. You will see lots of links here, and on the second column, it tells you how to use this resource. So it's organized by, there's resources and tools for overall understanding Cycle 1. And then it breaks down into each step. So resources for step 1, resources for step 2, resources for step 3, resources for step 4, and then just research. When you do the Cal APA, you will find that they ask you to look at research related to the equity gap to go beyond what you already know. Build your understanding at a deeper level. So before we move on to the next section of orientation, and thinking about the Cal APA, what do you, and just think about this and do it in the chat. What do you think the Cal APA requires you to demonstrate? What is it asking you to demonstrate as an equity-driven leader? An equity-driven leadership is hard. And I think the Cal APA gives you a really strong, powerful experience. It's rigorous. It's not easy, but it really is the difference. And we reference this in our programs a lot. There's a difference between being an administrator and being a leader. And we are definitely going to immerse you in what leadership looks like. Administrative skills are crucial, but a lot of times we administrate the status quo. And when you want to change the impact to kids, that takes leadership. So I want you to really put on that leader hat as you engage in this program and think about developing what you need to do and understand and your convictions moving forward as a future leader. So turn it over to Ronnie.
Thank you, Ellen. And I agree. The Cal APA is a great training ground. If you're trying to identify an equity gap, look at best practices, look at data, implement a system, study that system. And a lot of our candidates gain confidence in being able to shrink those gaps and really improve student outcomes. So that's really what we seek to do in this program, is give you job embedded experiences that are not only going to help you pass your Cal APA, but really help you become effective in closing and eliminating inequitable practices. So we're excited to see your development there. And I can share with you that our Cal APA pass rates are fantastic. They're one of the top in the states. Out of 60 colleges, universities, even prestigious universities like UCLA and Stanford, we've beat them. Our Cal APA scores are very good. So we expect you guys to all excel and do very well with Cali PA, and we provide a great team and all the support you need to navigate those things. So now we want to go over, everybody see my screen? Can you see my screen, Ellen? Okay, so we're going to go over the really fun stuff, which is the program overview, requirements, and policies. Not fun, but important for you all to know nonetheless. So I will try to get us through this as quickly and as painless as possible. So this is our program overview. And our goal is to offer high quality preliminary administrative services credential program to you, tailored specifically for educators in Riverside County and surrounding regions. We have folks from LA, we've got folks, a couple from Central Valley or up north, and we're committed to equipping our participants with the skills and knowledge needed to excel in the challenges of the 21st century leadership role. And we recognize the demands of working professionals. We know you're all still working full time. So we've designed a program that is easily accessible and convenient and allows educators to advance their careers and leadership abilities without sacrificing their current responsibilities. We want to ensure that you can fully engage with the program while balancing your professional and personal lives. So, and this is just a visual of the past program content. So we will be focusing on the CAPES, which are the California Administrator Performance Expectations. The seminal text that we'll be using for this course is the Leadership Challenge by Kouzes and Posner. And you will focus on 5 practices of exemplary leadership modeled in that book. And those are modeling the way, inspiring a shared vision, challenging the process, enabling others to act, and encouraging the heart. You also have the opportunity to develop your leadership decision-making through the Model Code of Ethics for Educators. There's no field manual or guide for leaders to really experience all the complexities that happen in leadership roles that arise in schools. And we have a gentleman, his name's Dr. Troy Hutchings. He's an education ethics expert, and he will help you kind of build a framework to make decisions based on ethical practices. And you can see on the bottom, the Model Code of Ethics. So your responsibility to the profession, the responsibility for professional competence, responsibility to students, to the community, and then also responsible use of technology, which is a hot topic right now in education, right? How do we have kids use AI? Do we teach kids how to use it responsibly and ethically, or do we, embrace it? So that's kind of the challenge in technology right now in public ed. So we'll tackle those together. And so PASC curriculum is grounded in the CAPES, providing a strong foundation for leadership development. And we emphasize cultural proficiency and the importance of equity in every aspect of the administrative role. And this ensures that you as future leaders are prepared to create inclusive and just educational environments. And so we kind of already touched on the Model Code of Ethics, but here's the purpose. Here are the textbooks that will be used as you go through your different courses. The text will be used in multiple courses, but if you have this open in your slide deck, or you reference it in the slide deck that was posted in Google Classroom and in the chat, if you click on these in your presentation, they will bring up a link to Amazon. So right here, you can easily order your texts. But we'll be using the text Building Equity, the Leadership Challenge, in the New Principles Field Book. So there will be additional readings from this separate and still unequal text from AXA, but these will be shared with you by your instructor. They'll be using different sections. You'll also be using this text throughout your program. And here's just an overview of the list of courses you'll complete in the program and their major themes. So you'll focus on first in PASC 101, who am I? 102, where are we going? 103, doing it together. 104, making it work, systems and systems thinking. 105 will keep you all abreast of the law, keep you safe and within the regulations. 106 will be instructional leadership, the actual work. And then 107 will be making sure we involve our family and our communities in the work that we do. And so here's just a graphic that provides a breakdown of the responsibilities of all the parties that work in the PASC program. So this is your instructor, your site supervisor, and of course you as the candidate. So this just kind of gives you an illustration of what to expect from not only what's expected of you as a candidate, but also what your site supervisor will be doing with you, and then also what as the director of the program and my staff, what are our responsibilities to you? So we do have a candidate manual. And so anytime you have questions about, anything related to the program, policies, what do I do if I miss a class? What do I do, if I need to access, something in Google Classroom? All of this stuff is in one easy one-stop shop in this manual. So a plethora of information. It has enrollment information, attendance policies. It has a directory of our staff to assist you. It has credentialing information. So you can find all that there. And then again, if you access your slide deck and you want to see your schedule, they're linked in your slide deck. So you can look at your schedule depending on what cohort you're in. And you can also reference the due dates for all assignments. And so assignment due dates, again, these will be set in that calendar, and instructors will be providing you feedback on your CalAPA using the rubric, and all assignments must be submitted by the due date. If there's any kind of, life happens, if something comes up, just communicate. That's really all we ask. And then all grades will be entered into a grade book in Google Classroom. So if you want to know where you're standing, you can easily go into Google Classroom and see that. And candidates are responsible for submitting all assignments to the proper locations in Google Classroom. And then when you do your CalAPA submissions, you don't submit them to us. You'll be submitting them to Pearson, who is the assessment company that provides the CalAPA. So you will have leadership observation requirements. So you'll complete 3 of these. And so here's some examples of observations you can do: school site council meeting, a PTA or PTSA meeting, an ELAC meeting, a District African American Advisory Committee meeting, LCAP, which are always interesting to attend, but something that involves the community and family. And then 2 of these observations must be at the high school level, middle, elementary, other than your own, right? So what we're trying to do is provide you a wide range of experience. And what we're finding more and more with leadership is it used to be a situation where, hey, I taught high school. I go and I'm, become an assistant principal at a high school. I go president. Everything I do is in secondary. What we're finding more and more is that leaders are moving around to different levels. We didn't normally see that in the past, and now we're seeing more leaders run the gamut of experience from elementary school all the way to high school. So we want to expose you to what leadership looks like in all those different areas. And so you'll complete the leadership observation form for each meeting. Here's some description of what you'll be required to document in that observation. And then you can also access all the observation forms in Google Classroom under leadership observations. And they're due the second day of PASC 107. So you really have truly the entire length of the program to schedule these observations out. And then we have course online assignments, fieldwork assignments, including the CalAPAs and your leadership observations 3, and then your final presentation. So these will be all the assignments that you'll be accountable for in the program. And your culminating activity on your last session will be a 15-minute PowerPoint presentation. All the description of that PowerPoint presentation is also in Google Classroom. Your instructors will be going over the presentation with you along your coursework. So you'll be well prepared to engage this. And it's just a great opportunity for you to share. It's really one of my, oh, Anna, I see you have a question.
Yes, for the observations, are we required to tell the schools that we are doing an observation and are going to submit this information? For like the site council and the LPAC meetings?
Ellen or Shireen, you guys want to take that one?
I think you let them know you're attending for a course assignment, and you don't have to keep, you don't have to use names or anything specific. So it's a really brief summary. It's like a 1-page, just what you learned more than what they did.
Yeah, and there's no document that anybody has, no waiver or anything like that. It's just, again, keep the names out, and you're just documenting what you experienced in observing that activity. So, okay. As I was saying, it's my favorite session to come to and kind of interact with candidates, because some of the growth that's demonstrated in these PowerPoint presentations are very inspiring. Student groups moving, getting a chronic absenteeism rates down, increasing the proficiency of English learners, reclassifying English learners, whatever it might be that the candidate's focused on. We see some really great growth, and it's just a really good time to celebrate the work that you've accomplished and your achievement. So again, I'm just referencing the candidate manual, and the policies for the program begin on page 48 if you want to kind of follow along. And program fees and payment plans. Most of you have already done this work already, but there are several different ways to execute your payment plan. Heidi, you have a question?
Yeah, just it said that we would receive that fax email within 7 days of our acceptance. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I have not received that.
Okay. Shireen, can you make a note?
Yes, so we decided to wait till after the orientation. So you will receive that. If you chose fax, you will receive the fax instructions on how to enroll in the payment plan. And if you indicated schools first or loan, we're going to send you the instructions how to complete that. So you're not late. You will still get those next week. You're going to receive them from Astra, and if you chose fax, you're going to receive it from the fax system.
Okay, thank you.
And Heidi, just for context, we are doing it that way. Thank you for the reminder, Shireen, because we do have some candidates after orientation that decide that this isn't the program for them. So instead of setting up your payment plan and paying your deposit and then deciding you don't want to do it, and then we have to go through the paperwork of processing a refund, the reason we kind of hold off on that. So you can expect that probably next week. And so the program fee is $7,500, $500 deposit, one-time non-refundable. There are 5 payment options: fax, schools first, Sallie Mae, district paid, or you can pay in full through cashier's check. District paid, this is if you're fortunate enough to work at a district that pays for this program, that'll be taken care of through invoice. And if you choose fax, you'll be setting up your account. Check your spam folder just in case it bounces into there, and set up your account within 5 to 7 business days of receiving that invitation. And fax has 2 payment options. One of those is one payment, $7,000. One is a monthly spread out between 14 payments of $500. And fax takes credit, debit card payments, and they will they will incur payments, will incur additional fees and charges, but a lot of our candidates take advantage of this because it spreads your payments out and they can kind of pay it off over time. And program fees, all candidates pay the $500. If any time you drop the program, you'll be responsible for any program fees up to the date of your official drop request. So we kind of prorate that. And that is program fees. So here's the process to request a makeup for a class that you missed. One, approve absence allowed. Two or more may result in an involuntary pause. And what happens in an involuntary pause is that we put you on a pause. Sometimes candidates need to go on pause. You know, they have a life circumstance or something that comes up, and we'll put you on program pause and you can pick up the next cohort around. If you're on involuntary pause, the same thing applies. You could pick up the program and try again at the next cohort, depending on where you paused. So it's critical for you to be present at every session. Therefore, missing a session should really be only to some undue circumstance or emergency that came up, and we understand when those do. When possible, notify the instructor at least 2 weeks in advance. We do have candidates that planned a vacation before they signed up for this program, and we understand that, but please communicate, and still, you know, you can have that one absence. You can request a makeup session, and there's a form linked here also in Google Classroom. In case of an illness, please contact your instructor no later than noon of the day of that scheduled session. And the makeup request form, as I mentioned, can be found in makeup session request forms in Google Classroom. To request a makeup class will result in makeup work assigned by the instructor. It's the responsibility of the candidate to complete that assignment. Again, missed sessions may delay, you know, the completion of your program. If that occurs, a completed program extension request form must be filed. There's a $500 fee when rejoining a different cohort, so something else to be mindful of. And one approved absence, 2 or more, again, may result in that pause. Missing 2 mandatory Cal APA sessions may result in a pause as well. And the candidate will not be recommended for a certificate of eligibility or a preliminary admin credential until all program requirements are met. So, and just so you guys know, we're not, you know, we don't intentionally go out of our way to put in more rules than any human would ever want. We are an approved program by the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, so we have to adhere to strict guidelines about attendance and about work for us to be able to make your preliminary recommendation to the state. Otherwise, it puts our accreditation into jeopardy. So we do have to closely follow these rules. And again, we will support and assist you in every possible way. Okay, late work. If all work's not complete for a course, the candidate may be in jeopardy of not being able to move on to the next course. Of course, there are extenuating circumstances at times, but we do have structures for that. A conference will be held with the instructor, the program director, which is me, and the cohort advisor. So it'd be your assigned cohort advisor, either Christina or Dr. Cook, to determine what the best course of action, set a new deadline for you, and make sure that through our systems of support, we can get you back on track. And I'll let you guys just kind of take a look at this yourself. Again, it's linked in the presentation, but this is candidate expects to miss a course or courses. This is just a flow chart that kind of helps you see how this happens. And so all the way up into including pauses in each circumstance. So can reference that, and again, the handbook at any time. Request to drop or extend, those documents are in Google Classroom under candidate forms. And what I'm going to do now, I don't know why my timer video is not working, but I'm going to give you a couple minutes to just review the professional code of conduct. It's a couple of pages, so I'm going to give you a minute or two to kind of look through this. And then I'm going to move on to the next slide that has some more policies of conduct. Just as you're reviewing this, I did just want to share that adhering to a professional code of conduct in the PASC program is essential because it does model the ethical and professional standards expected of all of you as educational leaders. And by upholding these standards, you demonstrate integrity, accountability, and respect, which are critical qualities of a school administrator. And moreover, consistently adhering to professional code of conduct fosters a positive learning environment, builds trust among peers, and prepares you to navigate the complex ethical challenges that you will face as a leader. I'm going to move us to the next set. So this is the ethical-minded leadership attributes. And we have one more. Equity-driven leadership attributes. Okay, and in the chat, I invite you to share out either in the chat or if you have a comment about any of the policies or anything that really stood out, go ahead and share those in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and share. Yes, Alana.
Hi, oh, it's Elena.
Oh, Elena, thank you.
Okay.
Names are important. We learned that.
Yes. No, I think someone asked in the chat, but I think maybe what they were asking is like, when I'm looking at this calendar of the classes, I just want to clarify, like on September 14th.
And Alana, you're muted. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. On September 14th, so the calendar of classes, on September 14th, it says PASC 101, and then October 5th, it says PASC 101. Are both of those mandatory sessions, or do you choose one or the other to attend?
Yeah, they're both mandatory sessions. So each class will have 2 Saturday sessions like that.
Okay, thank you.
But great question. Any other questions or comments or thoughts?
Something to think about is this is an accelerated program. It goes pretty fast. You don't spend a lot of time in the actual courses and things. So it is super important to not miss, because that's, you know, if you miss one class, you're missing half a course. So again, just really make sure your life and world can kind of commit to the commitment you're making and the investment of time it's going to take.
And Dr. Love, thank you for that, Ellen. Dr. Love, you had a question in the chat. You want to make a credit card payment. So that has to be done through fax. So you'll set up a fax account and you can make that one-time payment through fax, through credit card. And okay. So as with our students in our schools, it's important for us as a program to provide and maintain a tiered system of support for our candidates to help you be successful in the program. And so the system of support is very detailed. So I'll allow you to kind of review this at your leisure. You do have access again to the slide deck. And it's quite detailed. And the reason it is because we want to give you every opportunity to be successful and support you no matter what occurs throughout the program. And so if there is a system of support that needs to be put in place, that will happen through an online referral, either by one of our instructors or a Cal APA consultant, but just kind of indicating that additional support might be needed. And so that will be completed. And then a system of support agreement will be executed between the PASC program and the candidate. And so these are the different levels for system of support agreements, action plans, and then intervention plans if those are required. And then we do have an academic review committee that meets quarterly. And if we do have folks in that tier 3 category, we'll review patterns and work attendance, and then we'll usually make a decision on what's best for the candidate. But we don't expect to see any of you there. UCR credits, so as a part of your participation in PASC, no additional work needed, you are eligible to receive UCR extension credits as a result of the work that you're already doing in PASC. And so a lot of our candidates will use this to move over on the salary schedule. The units are $65 each. You can find UCR credits also in your candidate manual, and all the links that you would need to, if you're interested in doing this, are here in the slide deck and also in your candidate manual. Now is move into our candidate learning platform, which is Google Classroom. And Dr. Casey is going to take us through kind of the nuts and bolts of Google Classroom and help you navigate that. So I will turn it over to Shireen.
So I did check all Google Classroom cohorts, and I did see like most of you did join Google Classroom. So this is the platform that we're going to be using for posting all assignments, all materials, and even communication. So if your instructors wants to announce something, they're not going to send you emails. They're going to post this in Google Classroom. So I'm going to walk through the basic things in Google Classroom. I know you're all familiar with that platform, but I want to just go over how we use it in this program. So first of all, we do highly recommend that you use your Google personal account. The reason is we've seen some districts block outside their organization access, and you might not have full access to all the features in Google Classroom. So we do recommend you use your personal. And we did see some candidates change positions. So when they or change districts, so if you log in with your district account, once you leave the organization, you're going to lose that access, and you have to rejoin with a new account and make up all the work. So we do like and recommend that you use your personal that stays with you the whole 16 months program. And you all know how to access it through the waffle sign next to your Google account. And you can click on your icon to see what accounts did you join Google Classroom with. And once you join the Google Classroom, you're going to see it on your dashboard. So if you decided that you want to switch your Google account with Google Classroom, first you need to unenroll yourself and then re-enroll with the new account, which if you prefer your personal accounts, which is recommended. So how do you do that? Once you see it, because you joined it, you will see it as a block. You click on those 3 dots and then you can unenroll yourself. And then you make sure you join with the correct account that you want to be joining with Google Classroom. Also, I did see some candidates joining with 2 accounts. You need to unenroll from one and keep one, because you're going to have missing assignments and you're not going to be like managing 2 accounts, and your instructors will be correcting only 1 account. So make sure to unenroll one of them and keep one. And the other thing, that you need to join Google Classroom with your first and last name, the same first and last name that you joined the program. I did see some abbreviations. I did see some different last names. Just make sure that your first and last name is the same one you joined the program with. So how do you change your first and last name? You go to these 3 lines and then go all the way to settings, and then it will give you your profile picture. No, you don't need to change. You will change your name and you can go to settings, and here it will allow you to change your first and last name. So make sure it's the same one and here's the screenshots on how to do that. It's the same first and last name you joined the program. I've seen some different last names or abbreviations. This is going to be hard for your instructors to cross-reference our attendance and our rosters. Second thing that we do want you to do is to enable email notifications. So every time there is a due date or there is something posted in the stream, or if there is a message sent to you or a work that was corrected and returned to you, you will receive an email. So we do want you to get that immediate notification, and you also go to settings to turn on your email notifications. So if you go to settings, you're going to have all the notifications here, and here's the class notification. You choose what class you're in and just turn it on. Because again, your instructors will not email you with information. They will post everything on the stream, and even if they want to connect with you directly or send you a private message, they can do that through the stream, where they select your name and send you a private message. So you need to know when there is a message or an announcement or a due date for an assignment. So make sure you enable your email notifications. Now, the other thing, let's demonstrate cohort A. So the stream here will be posted by your instructors. They will post all the Zoom links, the slide decks for upcoming training. If they have any due dates coming, if there is like any changes, everything will be posted here on the stream. The classwork will include all your assignments, your discussion boards, and all the forms that Dr. Henderson went through them. They're all posted here under candidates form. So if you have any changes in your employment, someone mentioned that they changed positions, we need to know so we can update our records. So make sure you use these forms, information update. You will use this to let us know if you change your supervisor, if you change your employment, if you change your email addresses, just any changes that happens throughout the 16 months, fill out that form and we will get the response and we will update our information. Many of you might decide to change their fieldwork supervisor. You have until the end of next week to do so. And your new supervisor will need to sign the roles and responsibilities. And there is a place where you can do that. So here it says, if you chose to change your site administrators, here's the form that your new site administrator has to fill, and then hit submit. I will receive the response and I will receive the new site supervisor information, and I will upload it to your application. We would like this to be done by the end of next week, because Ellen Lugo will be sending information to your site supervisors the week after. So please update your information with us as soon as you can. And here is the makeup request session that if you're going to be missing a class or a few hours, we need to know that, and make sure you submit this at least a week before the class. If you need to drop the program, you need to officially request that through these forms. And the UCR credits, after you finish the class, you are eligible to request those credits. And don't wait till the end of the program to request those credits, because there is a limit. I think it's 3 months from the end date of the class. And discussion boards, you might have some discussion boards as assignments, and you can also, here's how to type. I'm sure you're all very familiar with that. And there is also a private comment. So if you want to message your instructor, this private comment under each assignment will go only to your instructor. It's not to the whole classroom. And you can also view your work from there. So you can just have a quick look at what you're assigned, what's due dates, what is missing. So you need to complete if there's any missing assignments. And again, make sure that you're logged in with preferably a personal account and one Google account. And I think that's it for Google Classroom.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to talk about all things fieldwork. So as you know, because we've been referencing that in each of the 7 courses, a substantive fieldwork assignment connected to the CAPES must be completed. Fieldwork assignments in PASC 105 and 107 are determined by the program and are assessed using a field work rubric. So that will be coming to you, more information. Don't worry about it right now. For all the other courses you have, fieldwork is the Cal APA. That is your fieldwork. And the Cal APA cycles are site-based. So if you are at a district, we do need you to have access to a site you can work with. And if you have a relationship, if you're at a site and you have or a district or county, if you have a relationship with the principal, then and they're willing to support you, I would ask them to be your site supervisor, because they really have to remove obstacles for you during your field work that you probably, somebody at the district may not have the same ability to do those things. And they know their site, and they know, and I think because the work is so context embedded to a site, they will be able to give you better support, because you can do things at one site that the same thing at every site, and it's going to turn out different because every site's different. So you really need to dig into the culture, the context. So we find that it's really important that you have a site administrator that's willing to support you. And we'll talk about what that work looks like. Not all of it today, because the next thing you're going to do with us is the Cal APA workshop. So that's your next event. So we're going to go a lot deeper into this. One of the things that has come up a couple of times, and if you are in the program with another colleague from your site, you can't collaborate on Cal APA. And we'll talk more about that. We've had in the past years where, because again, we don't control the scoring or the submission. That is all CTC through Pearson. But we've had candidates that have worked together and they got plagiarism. And then what they decide to do on their end is we can't have anything to do with. We don't work together. This is your assessment in connection with CTC. Okay. So if you have a colleague, you can support each other, but you need to be working on different things if you're at the same site. So we talked about this a lot already. So again, if you're at the county or the district, you have to have a site to work with. If you're at a site, a lot of you are secondary, and there are you have multiple administrators, usually at a high school and even at a middle school. Who is willing? Who would give you the time? You don't have to do the principal. And so that's something to really think about. That who do you think would best serve you in this role if you have multiple site administrators? If you only have one, if you just are at elementary, you only have a principal, you're gonna need to build a relationship and a connection with them. And you really have to lean into this. I mean, we're gonna talk about how we're gonna be meeting with the site supervisors, and we tell them our stuff, but you have to really develop that relationship and make advocate for yourself. Okay. We tell them that you are an extra pair of hands too, because not only Cal APA, that's not the world, the only world you're going to live in as a site administrator. So all of the help you can do with events or issues or things, be on committees, really lead into that teacher leadership role as you're practicing to be in the leadership role. So we say the more they can get time in the context of what the work looks like, the better for you guys. So if you can serve as admin designee, any of those opportunities, be really looking and saying, pick me. I want to do that. Because it's developing that relationship and understanding the culture. If you're in like a department or a grade level, sometimes you don't know the depth of what the school is beyond that. And this is really important with the Cal APA, that you get opportunities to really learn that part, because you're putting your leader hat on, not your fourth grade teacher hat. And you're going to have to assess and investigate the site as a whole. Okay. And again, we talked about this and the field work change opportunity. So you have to have a field work supervisor throughout the duration. And we know people move on, change, leave, you change, you go somewhere else. So it's just, we have to work through that, but you just must have somebody identified. And you are responsible to meet with them, regularly discuss leadership roles and responsibilities. You need to pick their brain a lot. So some candidates have somebody that they already have a relationship with, and it can be very informal, and they have an open door policy, and you can come in and come out and get that support. Others that feel like you might have to say, could I have 20 minutes of your time every week? What would be a good time? So you're going to figure out what strategy you need to use with the person that you've identified based on who they are and how they do what they do. And, but it's really important that you spend that time and really glean from them the leadership information you need. And we will talk about, when we meet with them, their role. And we're going to be telling them, you need to make time and space for these candidates. And they usually are, they like developing future leaders. This is part of the work of leaders. And so this is something, and it's usually a fun part of their job. So much of it might not be that much fun, but really working with you, inspiring you, giving you expertise there and their experiences is something I think most of them enjoy. You do need to access data. You will need to really, some of you may, with Cal APA, we reference state data and CASP in the dashboard. It's not required, any kind of data, but I don't want to get into that now because that's what the workshop's for. But if you know how to, because right now you might have teacher access to your data system at your site, you're going to need to get whole school access. You're going to need to work with somebody. If you're at the district or, the data person at the district, make a relationship, be their friend, bring them Starbucks when you need stuff. It really is, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to move beyond what the part of the world you live in. They will be doing a bi-yearly check-in, and all it is everything going okay? Okay, they'll be sent a survey, but it reminds them, oh yeah, am I working with this candidate or not? This is their agreement that they've spelled out. So they've all, right, Shireen, they've all completed this. Okay, this is something that we developed because although I have found it is happening now in our CAST program, I have found that there are sites administrators that have taken the Cal APA, but most of them don't even know what it is. And so for them to support you can be tricky. So what we've done is we've created a support guide, and there's links, and it gives them strategies of the evidence you need to have to be successful. It's not a checkoff. It's not something everybody has to do. It is, or every part you have to do. It is a support tool. So I send this to them with what I send site supervisors, and I CC you that, hey, we're starting cycle 1. Here's what it's about. And here's a support guide for you to support your candidate. Okay. Because again, Cal APA, they might not even know what you're talking about. And so look for where you're getting stuck. You get this document too. So you can also say, hey, let's talk about these questions because I'm struggling with this part. Okay, so here's what's coming next. We have the Cycle 1 Workshop A on September 7th. And I think we're scheduled 8 to 12. So this is the pre-work that you need to do. So you need to download the Cycle 1 Assessment Guide and keep it somewhere. This is like your Cal APA Bible. Okay, so we definitely need you to have access, easy access to that. In the Cycle 1 Support Tool doc, which is in Google Classroom under the topic Cycle 1, you will see all these links, but I linked them here. So you will need to look at these resources before we meet on September 7th. So getting to know the dashboard, how to view the dashboard, exploring the equity report that comes from the dashboard, and a data quest how-to. We're getting you into the state systems, but understand you do not have to use state data, but state data is really valuable in where do you exist outside your world, right? And it is a system in which schools are monitored, and they are looking for progress. So it is really important. We want you to meet with your administrator site supervisor to discuss and review state data related to your site. Have a discussion about how the data is used shared, and used to focus site goals. There's also an acceptable support document in the Cal APA topic in Google Classroom. There's things that we must do to support you as a candidate. There's things that we may do to support you, and there's things we can't do. So it's important to kind of understand that we have to really walk a line in the support we give you and what that support looks like. Okay. I would say that I'm a master coach for the PASC program, and some of those during COVID could delay or defer Cal APA during those 2 years. And those candidates in different programs had so little support. It was frightening. So you get a lot of support, but it is your assessment. It is your responsibility to put in the time and do the work. The other thing is you're going to register for Cal APA, and that there's a link there, but I want you to also get on the Cal APA website and bookmark that page. It's really important. Again, they don't interact with us at all as a program. They only interact with you as a candidate. So if you have issues, you have to go to them because we've never been part of this part, okay? So it's really important that you get on the website and you'll get all the information and all of these, there's all of these links over here in relationship to it. So it's important for you to look at the site, kind of navigate through it, get an understanding of how the Cal APA works. So use that link, bookmark that page. When you go there, make sure you look at the rules of the assessment as well as policies related to registration, assessment, and scoring. There's also lots of resources. I pull as many as I can out when I see something and post it in Google, but there's other stuff. Okay, there's other things that you should get your hands around. Registration. You have to find your account. You all have teaching credentials. The Cal APA is connected to your CTC account that you have as you renew your credentials. And this is, there's not a fee waiver right now. The budget ended year, July to July. So it will more than likely get reauthorized so that they will put money into covering the cost of your registration. But you may have to go ahead and pay for cycle 1, which is 125. Cycles 2 and 3 are 150. I wouldn't you can register for all 3, but I wouldn't do that. I would register for cycle 1, and then they give us information when the funding is passed, when and if. I mean, they said they feel pretty strongly it will be, but anything can happen. And then you can do a refund. Okay, so I would only pay for cycle 1, wait for information to come to you in Google Classroom about if you need a refund. And with that, you will learn to navigate the Cal APA Pearson system. We have lots of resources in Google Classroom. There's a resource doc that says navigate the Pearson system. That's linked in your cycle 1. That document, I keep telling you that you need to have it right next to your assessment guide. Those 2 things are your really important documents to get very familiar with. They have your instructors will ask you to upload, because remember, you're only finishing 2 steps in PASC 101. So when you leave 101, you upload to your Pearson account. But, and in PASC 102, you complete steps 3 and 4. And then you upload those and then you formally submit. But when they're in upload, you still have access to them. If you go, oh, I really want to change something, I think I could strengthen it. I think I learned something in 102. I want to go back. So you can navigate that system to continue to upload your work or refine your work before you formally submit. If there's any issues, because, you know, if there's any issues when you're trying to work with the system, cycle 1 is simpler because you don't have any videos. You're just uploading documents, your templates. But if you have a problem, they do have this on their website. Let me go back to it here. You see it here, contact us. You have to work directly with them. They won't, and they usually want you to do it by email. They used to have like a live something, but it wasn't consistent. So you will contact them and you will send them an email. So you go to CalAPA and navigate around that page. So before I go into this, what questions, I mean, a lot of this is going to be, you're going to have to go through the process of getting in there and figuring it out.
We'll go one clarifying question. You mentioned that we should always or consistently refer to the CalAPA guide and something else you said next to us at all most of the time.
Yeah, let me go back up to that slide. It is, where is it? Oh, I don't want to do that. Okay, if you go into the CalAPA topic, can you guys see that in, or cycle 1, topic cycle 1, if you're in Google Classroom? Let me do it. I can show you. Okay, so this is where you see using the Pearson system. See, I scroll down to this topic, acceptable support. Those things are here. And in cycle 1, this is where the assessment guide lives and all of your documents that you're going to actually, your templates that you're going to type on. This is the tool. This is the tool you guys need to get in and open. And it has so general tools and resources. So over here is links to the tools and how to use them. So all of these pieces are in that tool. So those things we talked about, they're right here. So
Thank you so much.
Tool and star it. And I would navigate through it so you just get familiar. We used to have all these different pieces in Google Classroom, and candidates were struggling with finding stuff. So we made one of these for each of the cycles.
Can I just add one point, Ellen, before we go on break? So all those documents that live in Google Classroom, I highly recommend you don't download them because they're live documents. So when we update any of these documents, if you downloaded it in the past as a PDF, now your copy is not going to be updated.
And that's thank you so much, Shireen, because we are constantly updating.
Yes.
You know, I work with the CTC about CalAPA, and as they give new stuff, new information, I am in that document and changing it. Okay, so that you have the most up to date. So just star it so you have it somewhere. And as the workshop slides, those aren't really relevant. I should probably unlink it because we're changing it for you guys. So don't take that as what it is because it's going to be updated. All right. Why don't we take a 5-minute break? And I'm going to contact what we do have coming is something really exciting. And Dr. Taylor, Chris Taylor, I think I'm saying his name right, from UC Berkeley is going to give you a little bit of an overview of another professional opportunity if you're interested. And it's free, where you will come out with a certificate of universal TK. And we all know what a big, important shift it is in California to have that expertise and knowledge. And as a future leader, it's really important. So he's going to share with you that opportunity, which is free. And beyond just deepening your skill set and understanding to make a better impact on kids, it will make you more marketable too. So to have that. Anything you want to say about that, Ronnie?
Yeah, I think that, like I said, the landscape's kind of changing where administrators might see themselves across different grade levels when maybe we weren't seeing that in the past. And I could tell you as somebody who's hired many principals, if I'm looking at somebody with a middle school background or a high school background, but I'm hiring them to lead elementary or early childhood education, I need to see something within their resume or their repertoire that gives me confidence.
Oh, he's here. I see him.
Okay. So something
So-
that, oh, go ahead, Ellen.
No, sorry about that, Chris. I thought I didn't see you come in, but would it be okay, you guys, if we just went, since he's giving us his precious time to share his information and to give you another huge, I think, opportunity. Chris, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. And I'll be brief. I heard the Cal APA discussion, and I know that's always like everyone was going out to buy their I Love Cal APA t-shirt right after this. So totally understand where everybody's at right now. So I'll try to be brief this morning, but I do want to this is a free opportunity. I put some links that I'll talk about as I talk through my presentation, but just so you have those links in advance, I just put them in the chat for you. So good morning. Let me just share my screen.
Let me make sure I gave you.
You did.
Okay, good.
And so briefly, I'm going to talk to you today about the UTK Leadership Certificate. So it is it's actually offered through a partnership from the state. So 21 CSLA State Center. And you'll see in those links that I provided you, there's also regional as well. So you have, it's a free resource to leaders across the state. So for coaching, professional learning, other aspects. So, but today specifically, I'm going to talk to you about the UTK Leadership Certificate. And this is actually, you will get 4 units of credit from UC Berkeley Extensions and also receive a Universal Transitional Kindergarten Leadership Certificate. So I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about that, but just so who's this random guy talking to me after I'm so tired from being in a long learning session this morning. So just briefly, I'm Chris Thomas. So I actually started my career in San Bernardino. My first teaching position, I was started in San Bernardino at Burbank Elementary School. So if anyone knows, they're right there by Orange Show. So and then I was a principal. I was a professor. I used to work at the University of San Francisco, and then I left there, went back to being a principal in Seattle. I was a principal in the Seattle Public Schools. And now I work for UC Berkeley, so I'm a recovering principal. So trying to still figure out life after that. And this is a really important aspect to me is I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old right now. So it's also really close to me just in terms of my own personal life as well. So So just for all of you, some of us still like, I think this is still learning for some of us across the state, is that by 25, 26, all our buildings are going to be providing TK to 4-year-olds. And I think what we need to remember in that is that for many of us in the state, and this is for new leaders, but also for current leaders in the state, we really haven't had this background. You know, we've had a K-12 background, but having 3 and 4-year-olds starting to enter into our spaces, we may have had a preschool classroom, a head start in our buildings, but some of us haven't interacted in that way. And even the leadership role around that's changed dramatically, because it used to be that like an early learning coordinator held a lot of that responsibility and worked directly with the teachers. But now that is shifting, where principals are going to be holding a lot more responsibility in this. And so I said a little bit briefly about 21 CSLA already. So I just cognizant of everyone's time today. So just we received $2 million to offer free coursework to those who are currently in a PASC program. So those in a CAS program, so those who are clearing their program, or those who have a certificate of eligibility. So until the end of the 25-26 school year, it's basically free coursework that's offered up to people entering the field. I think the state realized that, hey, this is happening. We have this new PK3 teacher credential that is just now coming up, but we really don't have anything for administrators. So county offices, districts are doing a lot of wonderful work across the state, but everybody is just like working to create this. And this is just an opportunity as we kind of work to kind of fill that space as we're moving forward. So just briefly, part of our work that's really important to me and to our team is we developed a purpose and equity statement. So one of the things we really had to shift in our work was, and I think both is it Ronnie and Ellen had both highlighted a little bit, is that, you know, from a K-12 perspective, like we have an understanding of early learning, but like we really also met with all of like the Head Start, preschools, because in our new system, it's a mixed delivery system. So not everyone even has to choose to go to the public school. So there's a lot of like shifts and changes in how we even do this work together. And so this is just to give you some more background, but we developed a purpose and equity statement to kind of keep us focused in how we thought about our work together. So what this is it's 100% free to you. And they're 2 courses. They are synchronous. So just kind of thinking about life and all those pieces. They're 2 synchronous courses. They're each 30 hours in length. And for each of those, you receive 2 units of credit from UC Berkeley Extension, so graduate credits. By the time you're finished, you'd have a total of 4 units. And you would also then, when you're completed with the 2 courses, receive the UTK Leadership Certificate. So just to give you kind of a sense of what's in those courses is really helping you understand the policy. So in the first course is really helping you understand the policy and the social emotional aspect of that, because of all of the early learning is really around SEL and a lot of play-based learning. And I think one of the biggest equity issues that's coming up across the state is like how we're thinking and talking about play. Because we have really different views in how to think about that. And so if we're really doing developmentally appropriate instruction in our TK spaces, that means that there's going to be play-based learning happening. And that's a big shift for a lot of us. And so how are we going to have those conversations? How are we thinking about that work and doing it? And then, you know, the lastly is the family and community engagement. And that's both in terms of how are the transitions looking like in our schools, but also as I mentioned, is that we have a mixed delivery system. So 4-year-olds are still coming in through other avenues into our schools. So we need to be clear about what those relationships look like for us. And then the second course is really getting to the like kind of the instructional leadership aspect of those pieces. So what are the look-fors in a TK classroom? How do we think about alignment across? Because it's really about alignment P3, right? Not just that, okay, we need to know what TK is. It's about what does that alignment look across the system? And how are we doing in that? And then what's our improvement practices for that? And then kind of the courses are very flexible. All of you are like already holding a lot, right? So we're very flexible in terms of you need to be there for the courses. Obviously, you need to show up for that, but like you can take one course at a time. You can take both courses. Like we're flexible. They're on different evenings during the school year. And then we also have a summer program, and you don't have to, you can take like one in the fall and you could take one in the summer, depending on how kind of work and life is balancing out for you. And there are assignments because it is credit bearing. So there are 3 assignments in each course. And let me stop there and pause for questions in just a second. And I think the other thing I just want to say is that what's come from this class is more than people saying, thank you for this content, because nobody's giving us this, is I think the more is that people are developing another, just like I think with the cohort you have here, is you develop a network of folks who are doing the work, right? Like, so part of the work in leadership is like being able to network and know where to look for support and help. And so being a part of a program like you are already a part of, this is just another space where you can look to other people who are doing TK work across the state. So, because we're hearing lots of different stories, like where we're starting with inclusion in the state. This is how we're thinking about like assessment pieces. So a lot of those conversations come up and then we talk about them collectively. This is just some samples of student responses, kind of like what they're getting from the classes.
One thing I want to add, Chris, if I can, is we have a lot of secondary people, and I just want to I want you to expand your thinking, because you may say, I am a high school person, but your professional career will take you different places. I was a secondary person, and I ended up being a regional director at one point in my career and supervising 14 elementary schools. And not having this background was hard. I just didn't have that early. So I just don't want you to think you're always going to be, opportunities are going to take you different places. So just think beyond what is now to your future. And the fact that this is a state, this isn't, an initiative, this is a state requirement that we do these things. And so it's important that we learn to do them well.
Yeah, and and I thanks for saying. I mean, one of the things that's come up in class, right? For example, like so we have had middle school and high school folks in the space, and so one of the things again is around this idea of like things with play, so big body play, right? Like, so how do we think about how kids play, like when we see them out at recess even, and like what is a way in which we're handling and thinking about like discipline and those pieces with that? So there's some real connections, and a lot of the things go back to like really the foundational SEL and things we need to think about, because a lot of what we're doing in middle school and high school, unfortunately right now, is trying to put everything back in, right? Like, how do we add joy back in? And we think about Goldie Mahan, we think about all these people, they're telling us all these things we need to put back into schools. And so some of the early learning stuff is about like, this is how we should just be, right? And it's how we should be always. I mean, you're going to hear this from your professors too, I'm sure, because like, this is how we should always be and just how we interact with folks. But like, it really kind of helps us ground and think about where it starts at. And then in the links I gave you, you can go and you'll see all these pieces, but here's the fall courses. And again, if it's like, hey, I'm starting a preliminary program, I'm not ready to do that yet. So there will also be spring courses coming up. I'll probably have the spring courses on the website in the next week as well. So always feel free to reach out with any questions or anything you have about those pieces. And then I'm going to stop the share. So I'd rather just so I can see folks and then be able to answer any questions. Yeah, any questions? Yeah. I think Andrea, is it?
I don't know if this is a question or if I more want to talk to this point. You don't even want to understand how excited I am about this certification. I spent the last 10 years, being the school psychologist for the preschool program in my district. And I had so many directors of special education that didn't ever work with early childhood. I've had principals that didn't know anything or had never worked with early childhood. I'm now in a district, I just changed jobs, where we have an inclusive preschool class on every campus in the district, elementary school campus. And one thing I really have struggled with over the last decade is trying to get my administrators to understand the difference between these programs. And it's not that they didn't want to know, or they didn't have that, they never taught that age. They didn't have any experience. So I am so excited that this is out there, because I was kind of educating the district office, the directors, principals. And so I just want to say that this is an incredible opportunity for anybody, because you never know if you're going to be at a campus that has all of these things. Well, you're definitely in elementary going to have a TK, but even an inclusive preschool or preschool program for special education could be on your campus as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Andrea.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I saw, again, I see a question from Destiny. I just real quick. So if your program is always, I think will always come first for you. So like in terms of those pieces, but you can also spread that out, right? So you're in the PASC program, and it sounds like it's about a 17-month program is what I heard. So if you've started this and you take one class in the fall or the spring, even if you finish your program, because you've already started into this program, you have that time. So just know that you can do this like we're trying to be as flexible as possible for you, because we want folks to get access to this information, but we also realize you're working, you're full-time, you're holding a PASC program and doing that. So we're flexible in that way for you. I can put the links again here. Let me just do the links again for folks, and everything should be there. The applications and just general information for you. And that Riverside, the Regional Academy for Riverside, that's just another resource for you, so you have it. That's for regional. Go ahead, sorry.
I do think, let me see, Chris, if you don't mind, let me share, because I put a slide in for you. Let's just make sure I have the right links. Are those the right? And I can add them to the slide, because they have this slide deck.
Yeah.
Those are them?
Yep.
Okay. So you guys have access to that in your slide deck too.
Angela, did you have a question? I think I see.
Yeah, I was just going deeper into that question you just answered. Yes, we can do the Tuesday classes because we don't have anything Tuesday. But when it comes down to the Saturday classes, we're not done until December of next year. And we have Saturday classes that will overlap with that are at the same time. So how do we figure that out?
Yeah. So I can tell you, so for the spring, I'm trying to finalize that now, is that we're going to have classes. So we try to offer them at different times, because this is, if you think about it, these are folks from all across the state who are coming into this space. So it's not just, so we'll have folks, so in the spring, we're going to offer Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday classes. In the summer, we'll offer kind of like 2 days a week classes. So they'll be different, and there won't be any Saturday classes in the spring. So we try to provide different times for different slots for people to work. So if you're looking for that, there'll be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday opportunity in the spring. I can tell you that now for sure. I know that you've had a ton of information today, and I'm just like talking very quickly because I try to honor you all, because I know how. Thank you for your commitment for doing this work and taking on a credentialing program. I've heard really wonderful things about this program. So please, if any questions afterwards, feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. And we're just trying to get this early learning work out there. It's just really important. There's a lot of new learning for everybody. And if anybody says they're an expert, that's not true right now, because it's changing for everybody. Even if you've been in the early learning space or you're in the K-12, it's changing for all of us. So this is about kind of collective learning, and I just want to note this, and I'll stop talking because you're all like, please, I want to go to lunch or take a break, is like, one of the things we've really tried to do is the early learning space, and I think this is really important for people to know across the state, is this has been a space that's been led by like women of color doing this work for many, many years. And the way this is rolled out is like, we need to figure out ways in which we're in our system is honoring that space and really uplifting those voices into this, because there's a lot here with these shifts and changes that are really powerful access opportunities, but also because it's creating more access, it also is shifting other systems across the state And so you might have people who are in your system who really are giving you that dirty look. And you're like, why are you giving me such a dirty look? And you need to understand that like, there's all these things happening right now where everyone's still trying to figure out how we're going to collectively think and work together in this space beyond just the little babies that we need to be caring about in this. And so there's a lot of complications that are happening right now. And so part of our work is just to make sure folks recognize that and figure out how we honor the people who've done the work previously too. So just much appreciation for the opportunity to talk to you, and good luck with your start of the everything. Very exciting. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. We so appreciate you providing the opportunity and coming to talk about it.
Yes, thank you so much, Chris. And just to kind of put a kind of a footnote on the presentation, which everything Chris shared is super important to the concept of bringing in a new age of child into our public school system and what those needs are. But again, from looking from like even the career advancement perspective, as I was sharing, I had an opportunity to hire many principals, and when I'm looking through resumes, if see a candidate's experience is mostly in the secondary schools, but they're applying for an elementary position, something like this, a certification around universal TK would go miles toward me believing or understanding that that candidate was prepared to assume those duties. So I think it's a real feather in your cap if you're able to find the time to do it. And obviously, a very reputable university is backing this. So I think it's a great opportunity if you could do that.
Yeah, I agree, Ronnie. I've hired a lot of principals too, and this would definitely be a standout.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris. We're gonna also we're videotaping, so we will be sharing this information with our PASC people as well.
Just thank you for the opportunity, and may all your APA experiences be magical and wonderful and easy. So yeah.
Oh, they will, right?
Thank you, everybody.
They will. Thanks again. Okay, guys. We just have a few other things where we can wrap up. Do you think we can do that, Ronnie?
Yep.
Okay, let's get you out maybe a little bit early. So upcoming dates, this is the fieldwork supervisor meeting on Thursday, August 29th that we were sharing, where we're going to talk to your site supervisors about their role and help them understand what you need. So we need you to have any changes in by the 19th, because I will be sending emails using the information you give us. And I will also send them a calendar invite. And then on Saturday, September 7th, we'll have our CalAPA workshop from 8 to 12, which we already kind of went over the pre-work. And then your first class is Saturday, September 14th, which will be PASC 101. So with that, we will continue to take questions. We do have something we want you to give us feedback. We always really value that. So I'll put it in, if you need it in the chat, but we use this to make sure that we are in that continuous improvement process ourselves.